Yo, this is Deontay the Bronx Bomber Wild, the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. And I'd like to give a big shout out to CJ Goodfellow of Sports TV. Bomb Squad, baby.
All right, we back. Goodfellow Sports TV. Let's talk some boxing. Hit the subscribe button, bell icon button, share the video. And we're going to get into, I made a mistake on the Luiz Ortiz November 7th. I'm going to tell you the correct opponent that signed. Also going to talk about Manny Pacquiao. Freddie Rose said he got 1 or 2 more fights left, but he won't be fighting in 2020. And that leads me to believe he's going to be fighting Mikey Garcia. And I'll tell you why. And then first we're going to talk about this offer that Bob Arum sends to Kell Brook for $1.5 million. Let's talk about it. That subscribe button, bell icon button, share the video. Most of the boxing community have become accountants, pocket watching, you know. They care about more what the fighter make than who he fight. And this is why we're in the predicament that we in right now. When you want to see the best fights that you want to see, where the biggest fights get made, everybody out here making excuses. Oh, he deserved to get 60-40, or he deserved 20 million, and this, that, and the third. You know, everybody pocket watching, and you know, basically Bud is basically the laughing stock of the box community just because motherfuckers is sheep. All right, Bud ain't gonna bring you one dime if you don't have a platform. And since Bud don't get them interviews, they don't like Bud. All right, what's so funny about it is a lot of these dudes praise Marshawn Lynch for not fucking with the media. You know what I'm saying? And they praise him for not messing with the media. And, you know, I just come here not to get fined, this, that, and the third. But, you know, at the end of the day, if Bud don't want to do media interviews, he not obligated to interview with the new media. Y'all niggas not Yahoo. Y'all not CBS. Or none of that nature. Y'all can talk about y'all control the narrative. Y'all can create a narrative. Y'all narrative is going to get busted. It's going to go from a myth buster to a myth that's already been busted. Y'all can do all the fake lies. Y'all can do all the exaggerating, making up shit. But at the end of the day, you know, the truth will come to the light. And we already know, you know, it is what it is. Everybody, you know, claiming it's pro-black shit. But then again, it's a brother right here that's married or that's with a sister that had black kids, who got a black sister, black mama, I presume a black daddy, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, he represented himself well. Yeah, he had a little run-in with the law, but, you know, a lot of people do. But, you know, people just don't like him. Apparently, Top Rank's the enemy. So, I mean, you shouldn't like Muhammad Ali because he brought Bob Arum into the game. You know, you shouldn't like Floyd Mayweather because he signed with Bob Arum, Shane Mosley, Oscar De La Hoya. I mean, we can keep going on and on. The biggest names in the game, or most of them, was with Bob Arum. So what you got to say about that? You know, but, you know, people just don't like him because he a threat to Earl. People think Earl's the people's champ. But once again, you know, it's the same motherfucker who got drunk to flip the car. It's the same motherfucker got a drinking problem. You know, it's the same motherfucker, you know what I'm saying, who lying to the people, who don't want to fight nobody. We know that. He don't want to fight the best fighters. So, I mean, there they go again. You know, and that's just what it is. But, you know, as far as the Kell Brook thing, Kell Brook ain't worth $1 million at this point. So, Kell Brook has no presence in the United States. He don't. Kell Brook has no presence. Amir Khan had a presence. Amir Khan got knocked out by British Prescott. Came over to the United States and built the fan base. Kell Brook is just known for fighting Sean Porter over here. That's it. You know, I think he fought Carson Jones in one of their fights in Miami or Oklahoma. I could be wrong. But Kell Brook has no presence in America. Now, can the Terence Crawford and Kell Brook fight be pay-per-view in the UK? I guess you got to ask Eddie Hearn. His last fight with Max DeLuca, it wasn't pay-per-view. But he got 2 million pounds to fight that guy. And that's way more than what he getting to fight Terence Crawford. And if he choose not to fight Terence Crawford, Crawford said he ain't taking the pay cut as a champion. He shouldn't take a pay cut off his minimum. We know Bob Arum ain't giving up no money. Teofimo Lopez didn't get no money from Bob. ESPN stepped in. He didn't get no money from Loma. He said ESPN stepped in and made up the difference to make sure he got his $2.2 million. So at the end of the day, with Bob, it's take it or leave it. I mean, Eddie Hearn can counter to have a fight, you know, on his own. You know, but at the end of the day, it's not a fight that I'm crying that I'm not gonna get. We know what's gonna happen. Kell Brook gonna get punished. Kell Brook beyond his best. I'd be surprised if he can make 47 comfortably. He's scared to fight the top guys at 54. He said it like, I kind of want to do catch weights, and that was his words a few years ago. He's supposed to fight Jaime Munguia. They ranked him number 1. They made him mandatory. He ducked that phase. So, at the end of the day, Kell Brook been pulling out for a long time. Kell Brook is not worth the food stamp in the United States currently. His biggest victories were Sean Porter on one of the smallest platforms you could put on boxing. We could put boxing on at Showtime, so it don't bother me. People tell me, they lowballing Kell Brook with $1.5 million. And what's so funny is you got a bunch of dollionaires saying what's a lowball offer. During the pandemic, it is what it is. If that's what Bob willing to offer, that's what he willing to offer. But then again, you got to look on the flip side. PBC can't get their fighters in the ring. That's why the fight schedule looked the way it looked, because was nobody willing to take a pay cut. And it's been like that on PBC before the pandemic. That's why you get all these mismatches, the Salkas and the Errol Spence and Campos and fights like that. You get fights like that because they can't afford to put, at one point they could put Sean and Danny on CBS, but they can't afford to put those fights on like that because Al Heyman and inflated the purchase so high. So anytime you get a Sean and Keith Thurman again, that got to probably go on pay-per-view. Anytime you get an Earl and Danny or Earl and Sean, a Keith and Pacquiao, that go on pay-per-view because their purses is too high. You know what I'm saying? So that don't shock me none. PBC can't sit here and they can't even afford to put Earl and Danny on Fox, regular Fox. They ain't shot the purses up so much that a lot of these dudes getting paid, a lot of money. To this point, it's astronomical. But I don't care if he don't fight Kell Brook or not. I'm not going to sit here and lie. It makes me no difference. The only fight that I want to see at this division is if it's, Keith Thurman, Errol Spence, or Terence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? At this point, if you want to throw in Keith and Terence, cool. Manny Pacquiao, he cool. We talk about him in a minute, but other than getting this belt, he been beat every way possible. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the God honest truth. You know what I'm saying? You got some of these niggas who quote unquote got basketball channels, and I'm not saying niggas' name, but you know what I'm talking about. StubHub TV. I've seen somebody share his little screen record, talk about, Terence just won a payday versus Errol Spence. Shut the fuck up, man. You don't know boxing. You don't know basketball. I'll school you any day of the week on boxing, basketball. Nigga, he offered Sean. He offered Danny. He offered Keith. All these dudes got an offer. Now people talking about with Keith, he should counter offer Keith. Did Keith counter offer when Terence offered him? No. Did Danny counter offer him? No. Did Sean counter offer him? No. Sean Daddy said, no, we loyal to Al Heyman. Cool. Didn't counter. I'm not saying Bob Arum perfect. Bob Arum want options on you. He want to sign you to a long-term contract. That's just what it is. But these motherfuckers got here, he don't want to fight nobody. Sean Porter just struggled with Sebastian Baby formula. What you talking about? Bud beat the fuck out of him. That's a fact. Keith Thurman still don't want to get in the ring with Errol Spence. They on the same side of the street. Tell Al Heyman give him $10 million to fight Errol Spence then. Since Bob can't accommodate him, why can't Al give him $10 million to fight Errol Spence? I'd rather be getting Keith and Errol Spence right now. At least they both coming off injuries. It's an even fight. Amir Khan counter offered and got $5 million because he has pay-per-view. His fight sold for pay-per-view with Bud in the UK. That's it. But this is what you got when you got a whole bunch of niggas like the local dummy box community who are allergic to facts, who don't have any insider knowledge other than Deontay Wilder pumping it to Blue Blood and Frederica Hawthorne. They have no knowledge. And this is why their platforms are not growing. And that's why it's why. Because people get tired of the lies, the fakes, the fake agendas, the yelling, the screaming. You know what I'm saying? This nigga's terrible. There's no logic behind there. It's just hate another black man. They don't have this hate. That's this much hate for Canelo Alvarez. They don't have this much hate for Gennady Golovkin. They don't have this much hate for Lomachenko. They don't have this much hate for Tank for choking his wife, his girlfriend. But you got this much hate for a brother over boxing things because he won't speak to you. Tell me if that don't sound homosexual or bisexual, depending on what this man is. What else does? Who gets emotional consistently over boxers, over other men? This brother StubHub TV be like crying and getting hormonal, over boxing, bro. And the sad thing about it is he believe the shit that he's saying. You know what I'm saying? This motherfucker and don't know what he talking about. That's why nobody should respect the letter crew. That's why I left, because it's a bunch of dumbass niggas. And then the one dude that know what he talking about, they censoring him. So let's move on. Pacquiao say he got. Freddie Rose said Pacquiao ain't fighting this year. He got 1 or 2 more fights left. He's supposed to fight 2 more times this year and retire. Because of the pandemic, he didn't get a chance to fight this year. Mikey said he wasn't fighting this year without fans. So apparently they can't fight without fans. They can't accommodate Mikey purse. Mikey made $7 million fighting Jesse Vargas. He ain't taking a dime less to fight Manny Pacquiao. I'll just say that right now. Because he know he can't win. So Pacquiao probably fighting 1 or 2 more times. I mean, I respect it. It's time to move on. All he doing is taking years off his life when he go in and train and spar and take punishment versus the Keith Thurmans and guys of that nature, even the Brandon Rioses of the world. So it's time for him to step out and get out the game. And once Manny Pacquiao will retire, if he retire on top and his belt go vacant, it'd be interesting to see how they position to get that belt, because that belt is important. If that belt go over to Crawford, then, hey, it ain't even the old undisputed. They can't say the WBA don't matter. But, at the same time, Pacquiao going to be out the ring, depending when he come back, over a year. At least Mikey fought in February. If he was smart, Mikey Garcia would take another fight in between time. You know what I'm saying? He'd take a little cheap ass fight just to stay active and be ready for Pacquiao and stay sharp. It could be versus, just a really, really tough, durable opponent, out there like Luiz Collazo. Why not fight a guy like Luiz Collazo or fight a guy like Victor Ortiz? There's history there. Even if you wanted to do an exhibition with Oscar De La Hoya, Mikey Garcia should stay sharp. That's his advantage over Manny Pacquiao. Is he sharp? He would have fought twice before they fight, and that's who pretty much Manny Pacquiao gonna fight. Pacquiao could have fought Crawford November 14th overseas, but apparently, that's something that he wasn't looking to do, or they didn't have proof of funds. I don't know what happened with that, but for Manny Pacquiao, it's time for him to leave. He's just complicating things. I understand he had to get his money so he can come back to the United States with the situation he had going on with his taxes. But, if he's going to fight 1 or 2 more times, it's probably going to be Mikey with them waiting until next year. And then, because look at this, man. Errol Spence got a mandatory after Mikey. He got the Lipias versus Qdoba winners. They fighting on Showtime, the top ranked guy. They fight for the intern IBF title. So they'll probably fight sometime in the first 4 months of the 2021, let's say March. And then let's say Pacquiao get it in right around that time. So then he can fight Pacquiao in the fall. If Pacquiao fight more than once. And if he don't, fight if he don't get Manny, then it's gonna be Sean and Keith, and I think that's how he's gonna close out his career. You know what I'm saying? But like I said before, Manny, it'll be interesting. To be off a year, 6 months, or whatever the change is, and then going there versus Mikey Garcia. It's gonna give Mikey Garcia an advantage. Mikey Garcia fast twitch muscles are more likely gonna wake up before Pacquiao. So Pacquiao gonna be going into a fight where, he gonna be going into a fight where it's like you ain't had no activity, and that's gonna be Mikey's greatest advantage. Also he talked about fighting Conor McGregor. I don't think Floyd gonna let that happen. Floyd is fighting Conor McGregor, or supposed to be fighting Conor McGregor. Dana White said they're gonna do some work when the pandemic get over with. So a lot of people counting their chickens before they hatch and saying that the pandemic is going to be over with next year and they're going to allow capacity crowds. I don't think so. I don't think you're going to see crowds until next fall. And that's if a vaccine is successful. But maybe after the election, this disease, COVID-19, just pick up and go away. But for Manny Pacquiao, he playing a very, very dangerous game. And that dangerous game is being out the ring so long. If he out the ring for like a year and 8 months or 2 years, he should just go ahead and hang it up. And I think he may end up hanging it up. You may not see Pacquiao fight again. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to be running for president really soon. So if they don't have fans in the stands in the majority of next year, you may not see him fight again. But that's his prerogative, man. So hopefully, he do what he do. But if that belt become vacant, it's gonna be interesting to see how they position for it. Like I said before, we'll see. Ugas fighting for the regular belt, but the regular belt don't mean you're gonna be super WBA champion. So we'll see, man. Maybe it come down to Ugas and Earl fighting for the super WBA belt. If he able to beat Abel Ramos. But let's move on. I made a mistake yesterday. I said Ortiz was fighting Cora Chislaba. That's the trainer of the fighter. He's fighting Luiz Ortiz November 7th. I'm guessing on PBC Fox is going to be fighting Scott Alexander. The fighter's supposed to be Sean. He's like 16-3 with 8 knockouts. The most famous fight he's been in, he lost a majority decision to Travis Kaufman, who just ended his career by retiring, versus Otto Wallin on Showtime. I think on the Benavidez card it was. So, Ortiz is supposed to be fighting November 7th on Fox. I doubt that's the main event. I'm thinking the main event is probably going to be Andy Ruiz and Chris Arreola, because Andy Ruiz and Luis Ortiz are supposed to be lined up to fight pretty soon. They're supposed to be fighting during this pandemic stuff, but Andy Ruiz wanted to take an interim fight. Ortiz was ready to fight Andy Ruiz. But I think Andy's going to fight Chris Arreola, Patron, or Pat Ryan, Andy Patron. He was caught drinking Patron, celebrating his birthday this weekend and celebrating Dillian White getting knocked out. Even though he could have fought Dillian White and been the one doing the knocking out, but he passed. And, Ortiz is fighting Scott Alexander November 7th. So hopefully it's a Hall heavyweight type of card. Maybe they could bring Otto Wallin back. Maybe they can do Kanauki and Robert Helenius too. I mean, they don't have too many heavyweights no more, man. When Deontay Wilder lost that belt, FN Jabwe just didn't see no point of being over there. Top Rank gave him the security. They gave him the punctuality of knowing when he's going to fight and when to be ready. So that's pretty much why he left. And now he's getting trained by Shakir Stevens and Jared Hurd Coach K. So, I mean, it's good for him. But pretty much PBC is probably going to lose stake in the heavyweight division. Andy Ruiz was they just picked him up because he signed himself out, or he bought himself out of Top Rank. Other than that, they don't really have too many heavyweights over there, man. And Bob Arum got them all, and the ones he don't got, Eddie Hearn got them. Usyk, AJ, Felipe, Dillian White, Povetkin with Eddie, and then Bob got the big baby, Jared Anderson. He got Tyson Fury. He got everybody, bro. I ain't gonna start FN Jabwe. Let's see if he'll be able to get the kid out of Philadelphia, Dermani Rock. It'd be interesting if he could sign him. Rock Nation just released him as well. So, I mean, Ortiz and Scott Alexander, that's the only type of fights Luis Ortiz can get. Unfortunately, he failed some drug tests. He took Wilder to the brink a couple times, and now, he's just in a situation where nobody still want to fight him. And when you're a Cuban and you're really good, you don't have no really room for errors as far as drug testing and taking losses. I mean, Lara's still an opponent that nobody still want to fight. People didn't want to fight Gamboa until he was old and, broke down and beat a couple of times. Not beat once. Even after Crawford beat him, people still didn't want to fight him. Remember, Mikey was ducking him for years. But, that's just the way the game go. I look forward to seeing what Ortiz got left. I think after, if Andy Ruiz handled his business versus Arreola and Luis Ortiz handled his business versus Scott Alexander, then you can see those brothers end up fighting, down the line, or next. Hopefully Andy Ruiz and Luis Ortiz. But, at this point, if Deontay Wilder loses to Tyson Fury again, Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn is going to control the division. I can see Al Heyman pulling his stock out the division for real. And I can just see him focusing on 54, 47. To really look at it, he really don't control too many good divisions no more. He really don't control shit no more, but 57 and 47. He lost control at 68. He don't have control at 75. 40, he don't have control. That's Top Rank. 35, that's Top Rank. 130, that's top rank. 126 with Gary Russell would be him, but a lot of his fighters have moved on, retired. Aaron Myers, I cocked like a pistol. Santa Cruz moved up, so he don't control too many divisions no more, and that's good because he ain't talking about consolidating and making one champion, one face, one name, Deontay Wilder. But y'all know what it is. Goodfellas Sports TV. Appreciate everybody for checking in. Don't forget we on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can reach out anytime you have a business question, require sponsor, video request. Check out our Facebook group. Want to make a donation to the channel? Cash App, PayPal description. Cash App, CJ Good 313. PayPal in the description. Appreciate the love, support. Keep sharing the videos. One time for the one time we go.